It's Knowte, live in the living room with Reese, the director.
All right, let's get it. Let's get it. So tell everybody where you're from.
Well, it's funny because it's a long story. I'm originally from New Hampshire, small town called Pelham, right on the southern border of New Hampshire to Massachusetts. But I went to school in Hartford, Connecticut, and that's where I got most of my musical start.
Okay.
So I like to say that I'm from the CT area because that's where I got most of my start.
Right.
And then since then I've just traveled down. Nice.
So how did you get your name? No, is that your first name, stage name?
Yeah, so it is my stage name. That name has come a long way. It's originally from my mom came up with it. Ironically enough, yeah. So I was like 16, trying to figure out a stage name, and I used to make like my own beats on FL Studio. And whenever I made instrumentals, I started off with the notes, the melody. So they were very melody driven, and my mom was like, you should call yourself like Notes, like play on words with that. I'm like,
yeah, that's actually dope. Like,
yeah.
Is your mom like into music too?
Yeah.
She sings?
Well, no, she doesn't sing. My dad used to rap. He was a rapper.
Wow. What was his rap name?
PhD. Poetry Highly Dangerous.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Was he like a solo artist, or with the group?
He ran a group. He ran a group called CPR Entertainment. Like he was trying to do his whole thing.
Right.
Similar to what like I'm trying to do right now.
Right.
His story arc, like he was coming up when like a lot of like the other like late 90s rappers were coming. He's performing alongside them. He knew them and stuff like that. And then he ended up having to give it up because realities, hit. He had me. He realized that it just wasn't supporting what he needed to bring to the table with his new responsibilities.
So is he still like supportive, like to your dream?
Yes, extremely supportive. My first microphone was his microphone.
Wow.
He kept it in the closet. And so one day when I realized like I want to get into music, I asked him, I said, hey, can I use your microphone? And he was like, yeah. So I grabbed his microphone. He does not let me use his keyboard. Apparently it's a very expensive keyboard. I forget the name right now, but to this day he still doesn't let me use it. And it's kind of one of my biggest goals of mine to like prove to him that like I'm worthy enough to
How did your parents meet? Like your mom was like a supporter of your dad's music?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah, so my parents met through like mutual friends. They just hung around the same scene.
Right.
So like they would always go to the same like kind of events. They had the same kind of friends, but they would like cross each other's paths without knowing that they were crossing each other's paths. Yeah. And then I guess one day they were at like some club or something. my dad was posted up, one pant leg up, one pant leg down. And I guess it was a wrap from there.
Right.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to like make music?
What inspired me to make music was music itself, really. Music saved me. And you can hear kind of in my lyrics of my songs, I try to keep everything upbeat in terms of energy, in terms of feel. But growing up, I never really felt, although I had very supportive parents, I never really felt at home, at peace with myself. And so I fell into music and just started listening to really anybody that I felt resonated with me. And then from there, when I realized I wanted to make music, it was one of those, I owe it, that same feeling that was given to me, that kind of saved me, I want to give that back to the world, kind of repay back the art form that helped me, you know?
Of course. So I noticed you performed at Raise the Roof Hip Hop Showcase. How was that?
It was really dope. It was really dope. A lot of really cool artists. It was at the Outlet of the Arts, Outlet for the Arts, which is in Torrington, Connecticut.
That's really far, bro. I looked it up.
Yeah.
I don't drive, so I'm like, we look it up. An hour away from here. Like, man.
Yeah.
So, and there was like a, you guys were saving the roof, like paying for a roof?
Yeah, so I think what it was just to raise funds for the venue. It's a really, really good venue. Like you should see, it's ran by Chaz, so shout out to Chaz. And like he is like an audio production guy. Like, that's what he does. So he has like lights, smoke machines, professional audio with a professional mixing board. And he just wants to give that to the scene, to people who don't have access to that.
Of course.
So I was more than happy to support an event that helps him keep the doors open.
Did you guys raise a lot of money?
I asked him. He said yes. So
that's great.
Yeah, a good amount of people showed up. And it was
How many songs did you perform that night?
It was a full set. It was a full set, so 30 minutes. Well, 28 minutes roughly. It was like 6 or 7 songs, something like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So tell me about your worst music experience.
Okay, so my worst music experience was when I was first starting to get into performing. I wanted to get my feet wet, and so I performed at an open mic on campus at the University of Hartford. It was outside of a place called Conover. For anyone who goes to the University of Hartford, they'll know that. And so I went up there, I went to perform, and no one showed up. Not a single person, not a single soul. It was me, the microphone, and the DJ. And so I literally performed my heart out to no one, and was like, I will never feel that feeling again. That's the lowest I would be. And if that's the lowest I could ever feel, then it's up from here. So I just kept chugging along. That, like, you know, that anxiety, that anxiousness I used to feel about being myself and putting myself out there went away after that day. So although it was one of my worst musical experiences, it's one of my better life experiences.
Did you invite a bunch of people out?
Yeah, I told them that, like, hey, I'm going to be doing the open mic. Even like the on-campus organizers, at the time they're called CAT, Campus Activities Team, like, they were promoting it. Just no one showed up. University of Hartford is very, for lack of a better word, I think the word is fickle when it comes to showing up to venues or showing up to events. Some events, it's either going to be a smash hit or it's going to be nobody there. I just, you know, got the bad luck of the straw, you know.
It's all good.
Yeah.
So you dropped a project in July,
yes.
EP.
Yes.
My Obsession.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So My Obsession is a call to what people really close to me, my girlfriend Aria knows it, my family knows it. I have an obsessive personality. I have to figure it out. I have to get things going. I have to be better than I was yesterday. And if I'm not doing that, I feel like I'm doing a disservice to myself. So I'm mine's always running. I'm always obsessed with making sure it's right. I will mix a song from like almost all day, really. I'll do like 3 different mixes and masters in like a single day. Like, just I'll mix it, I'll go listen to it while I'm washing dishes. I'll be like, nah, I don't like that, and I'll go back and I'll just keep going. But I do it every single day to the point I burn myself out. So it was one of those I wanted to wear on my sleeve, that I do have an obsessive personality, but this obsession, like, this is mine. This is something you can't take away from me. And so you can try to, you know, take me down, whatever, but this is my obsession, and nothing's going to stop me from being the best at what I love, you know?
Totally. So, favorite song on the project?
Favorite song on the project, it grew on me. It had to be Ghost. Ghost is one of my favorites because it actually ended up being a lot of other people's favorites. People who originally didn't really rock with my vibe and my sound. They heard Ghost and they were like, oh, like, you can rap, like, you got energy, you got this, like, and it's a vibe, like, oh, I'm a Ghost, like that, stuff like that. And it's funny because I wrote it kind of a nod to the fact that I'm very much so an introvert. So like my social meter at venues can go very low. Then I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna exit the situation. I'm just gonna ghost for a second. But that very track is what brings me to venues, to be in social situations. So it's ironic, and you know.
So so what do you listen to right now?
I listen to I actually most recently, on the car ride here, I was listening to a lot of Joyner Lucas, Dizzy Wright. I still listen to a lot of Eminem. I listen to almost all of his records just because if there's anyone to study to figure out rhyme schemes, like lyrically, if you want to study lyricism, maybe not storytelling as of recent, but if you want to study lyricism, you have to study Eminem because he fits rhyme schemes that you don't even hear. You got to listen to it over and over again. So listen a lot of I listen to a lot of Joyner, a lot of Dizzy, and a lot of NF.
So what new projects are you working on right now?
So I am working on a project. I don't want to spoil it too much. I have been performing the song at venues just because it's been a crowd favorite and I wanted to test it out. But I am working on a project. I want to get it to like 12 songs. I'm roughly at like 6 or 7.
So this is going to be an album?
Yeah, this is going to be an album. I work best in albums. I work best in concepts.
You have a title for it yet?
I do.
Give the title yet?
I don't want to give the title yet.
Problem.
I won't give the title yet.
Okay. But it's dropping this year. It's dropping next year.
It's going to be dropping 2022.
Got it.
I'm shooting music videos for it. I'm really trying to level up from this past year and learn from other people, kind of like we were talking about before the interview.
Right.
Connecting with other people who are better at what you are spreading yourself too thin for. So, you know, I'm really excited and hoping to show the growth since this past year.
So what does making it mean to you?
Making it means to me just making an impact. And what I mean by that is there have been times where I'd come off stage and somebody would say to me like, you moved me, you inspired me. And now like I feel like a better person exiting what I've just seen. And if I could do that on a large scale, that would be making it to me, and doing it consistently. If I could impact a room, it doesn't matter how large the room, it could be 20 people, it could be 100 people, it could be 100,000
could just be you and the DJ.
Could just be me and the DJ. If I could impact you to be a better person moving forward, that's making it to me. Got
it. So what's the difference between you and you as an artist?
There's a huge difference. I'm remiss to admit there's a big difference. So me as a person, anyone who knows me, I'm very reserved. I'm very low key. Like I said, in my social media, when I go to certain events or anything like that, like I'm not about that. Like in high school, I didn't go to parties, I didn't go to none of that. I just wasn't with it.
Yeah.
I just lacked a certain confidence, a certain swagger about myself. I wasn't sure of myself. But then me as an artist, I was able to find myself in music and take on this alter ego that sheds all those insecurities. Kind of, instead of hiding from them, wear them as like a badge of honor in my music.
Got it.
And so yeah, so Knowte is extremely confident, brash, high energy, where myself as a person is kind of the opposite. So it's funny.
Knowte is like in your face.
Yes, very in your face.
That's what I get from it.
So if you had the opportunity to talk to your younger self before you started taking music serious, and with everything you know now, what advice would you give yourself?
Don't be so hard on yourself. It will come, and trust the people around you. Like I said, I've been screwed over a lot in the past. High school wasn't easy for me. Socially wasn't easy for me. And because of that, I carried that into a lot of my future relationships. I believed that people were good, but they weren't good to me. So the only person that could be good to me was me. And that created a scenario in which I shut a lot of people out when I shouldn't have. I wasn't the best of friends to people who were the best of friends to me. And I've had to learn that the hard way as I went on. So I would say just, you know, don't be so hard on yourself, and be welcoming to others, that they are there for you.
Right. So if you had the opportunity to record a track with any mainstream artist right now, who would it be and why? And do you have a title for that song?
Okay, so a title, title no. That one would have been a question, but like, okay, I do got to prepare for that one. But any mainstream artist, the lyricist in me says Eminem, but the songwriter in me says my favorite writer of all time.
The old Eminem or the new Eminem? I mean, it's like two different people now.
Yeah. I would say it depends what kind of track you're going for.
Okay.
If you're trying to go for like intricate rhyme schemes and like, you know, a little bit of storytelling, but really just being playful with the art form, new Eminem. But if you want to go for like just like in your face, or even storytelling, like, you know, old Eminem. But the artist in me would go to Tyler Joseph. He is the lead writer, vocalist for a band called 21 Pilots. And his art form is what got me into music, and one of the ones that saved me personally. And so I would love to write a song with him. Okay. Yeah.
So if you had the opportunity to join a label or continue being independent, which route would you choose?
I would, that's tough. That's a tough question. My gut is saying go independent, because I've learned that when you go to people who are part of like the business end of it, sometimes they focus too much on like the business rather than just like growing something that is bigger than yourself. Right. And so the independent route allows you more control and allows you to collaborate with a lot more people, and also bring other creatives up who may not get the spotlight if you're on a label. You know, because you can't bring everyone to a label, but if you are independent, you can work with a videographer that you've always wanted to, you know, bring up and shed light to. Yeah. If you're in a label, they're going to give you the videographer. Right. They're going to give you those things because you got to fit that certain image. Of course. So I'd want to shine light to the people that don't get that opportunity. So for that, I'd want to stay independent.
So what's the hardest part, in your opinion, with growing a fan base?
The hardest part for me kind of stems back to the fact that I didn't really fit in a lot in high school. My style isn't the typical style that's out there. So the people that I connect with really connect with me, and that means a lot to me. But when you want to grow exponentially, you need to be able to be mass marketable. And I'm aware that sometimes my sound isn't always mass marketable. And that is something I'm trying to get better at. Not necessarily change my sound, but maybe adapt how I portray my sound.
So and like kind of like dumb it down a little bit.
Yeah,
I've heard like Jay-Z and like Lucas say stuff like that. Like you gotta dumb it down too.
Yeah, you gotta. So there's lines. So there's definitely is, because I hear that there's lines you write for the mainstream consumer. Then there's lines you write for like a lyricist or somebody who's into the lyrics. So I've learned that I need to balance the two. Right. So I put lines in there that are easily digestible. That people on first listen will go, that's hard, because people want to feel that's hard on first listen. And then anyone who, you know, is listening for something deeper, they'll listen again and go, oh, I didn't catch that. And those are the type of things I go for. So, yeah, I would say one of the hardest things for me is just trying to become more easily digestible. But what I've done to negate that is just perform my heart out. People feel energy. They feel energy more than they feel like, you know, the lyrics you're writing down. Right. So I try to give them as much energy as possible.
I like that answer, actually.
Right. I feel like it's similar though with, you know, people who, you know, artists that put out albums. Not every song everybody's gonna be like, oh, that's a radio hit. Yeah. It's not like that. Yeah. You're gonna have a few that are radio hits, and some were just like for the artist.
Right.
Like the artist loves this song and they don't care if you like it or not.
Exactly.
But that's what makes the album.
Exactly. You gotta write to all people of your audience, and as an artist, I feel like it's our duty to push the art form. And so if you're not trying to push the art form, then what are you here for? Right. You know. So yeah.
So if you had to choose between what makes you happy and what makes you money, which one would you choose?
What makes me happy? Easy. Money doesn't mean anything to me. And it's mostly because I grew up around where, like I said, my dad, he had to let go to financial support, which there is a nobility in that. And I'm immensely proud of my father to make that decision. That's a tough decision, and decision I hope I don't have to make. Right. But for me, I watched sort of my family chase the material lifestyle, and we're extremely close, don't get me wrong, but I saw the stresses that came with that. And I don't want to live with any type of regret of that. So I'll take care of my own, but I don't care for the large bank account. I don't care for any of that. If my own is happy and I'm happy, then that's true fulfillment to me.
Got it. So what's your process like? So I know you engineer, you make beats.
Yeah.
So you record yourself as well?
Yes. I record. I don't go to a fancy studio. I actually, for the first time in a while, it's the school I went to had a studio, but it wasn't too fancy. It was in like the basement. It was half classroom, half studio. But I most recently went to a studio, Pirate Studio. I think that's in Queens, if I'm not mistaken. Really good spot, but 9 times out of 10, I record in my place. My microphone is literally in like my closet because the clothes provide good soundproof and stuff like that.
Who shoots your videos for you?
Aria, my girlfriend, she shoots my videos for me. I wouldn't, be here without her. And that's just the truth. She holds me centered. She holds me, good when I'm kind of erratic.
So, who's your top 5? Most people don't ask this, but top 5 dead or alive.
Top 5 dead or alive. Okay. This is always the gotcha question because people be like trying to like dissect your top 5 and be like, why didn't you put him on? Why didn't you put that on? But it's like, but you asked me, what's my top 5? So in no particular order, because once you start talking about just like great artists, it's hard to be like, okay, this one's number 1, this one's number 2, because it's different scenarios. But I'd have to say Eminem, Joyner Lucas, NF, who else? I'm kind of leaning on my inspirations here. Who else? Well, I haven't been able to listen to more of his recent records, but just the sheer impact he's had on the culture and the fact that he was able to keep true to himself, and people rock with that. Like you see, there's videos of him like riding bikes through the city. J. Cole definitely, and his lyricism is bar none. And then who else would I want to go for? I'm gonna go with Dizzy Wright. Dizzy Wright is an independent artist from. He was originally with Funk Volume back when like Hobson and all that was happening. And I love the positivity he just sheds through his music. So I would say as of now, it's always changing, especially like once you get to the last 2 or 3, that's my current top 5.
Okay, cool. So I see you put out a new project, Car Radio Remix.
Yes.
What was that like? Why did you do that track?
Yeah.
And I see you said it took you about 9 years.
It took me about...
I watched the original song, which is a great video.
Yes.
I've never heard this song before.
Yeah.
And I listened to it, I'm like, wow, this is a great song. Like the video, he had everyone like following him.
Yes.
Shaving his head.
Yes.
That was dope. I can't lie.
Yeah.
But how did that happen?
So Car Radio, to kind of go full circle, is the song that inspired me to make music in the first place. It was the song that I first heard from 21 Pilots when I was in that self-discovery, that sense of loss. And so ever since I heard that song, I was like, I want to write to it. But if I'm going to write to it, I have to do it right. I have to do it. I have to pay homage to the original person who did it. Or else I feel like I'm doing a disservice. So I was writing it when my first weekend, couldn't do it. I waited a year, tried again, couldn't do it. I just kept going, just couldn't get it right. And then finally, I felt like I got to a point where I'm confident in my lyrical ability. I'm confident in my sound and my songwriting, that I was like, I want to write to this. And so I looked back at my old ideas, rewrote them, revamped them, and was like, okay, this is where I'm at right now. And this song helped create me. So I felt like, closing the year with that track was like the best way to do it.
Got it. So, what's your go-to track? I mean, when you're happy, sad, taking a long drive, your go-to track.
My go-to track. I can't say Car Radio because that one brings me to my feels. My go-to track. I I'm drawing a blank. Anytime I'm asked a song question, I'm like cycling through every single song in my Spotify playlist. And I have like 1,200 songs in my Spotify playlist, so it's a lot to go through. Most recently, the one that's always stuck in my head is Rambo by Joyner Lucas and Lil Durk. That one, I love the production on it. I love the way Joyner was able to, play with his voice, play with the lyricism, he just was very malleable on the track. And I have a high respect to artists that are able to be malleable on like a bunch of different things. There's a versatility. Yeah. So right now it's that song, but my go-to changes on, I'd say, like a bi-weekly basis.
Of course.
Yeah.
As music.
Yeah. Music changed so much,
and also different stages in your life.
Yeah.
Right.
Things you're going through.
Right. Because like, I have days I wake up, I just want to hear straight R&B all day. You know, I want to hear my turned up music when I'm coming home from work.
Yeah.
You know, so I get that.
Yeah, sometimes I want to be like in my feels. Sometimes I want to hear just really good, just bars. And sometimes I want to hear storytelling. And sometimes when I listen to rock, I listen to a lot of alternative music growing up as well. So yeah, my music that go-to changes all the time.
Cool. So my last question, what makes you different?
What makes me different, I like to think, is the energy I bring to the table. There's no other performance like my performance, especially at this stage. Obviously, you start going up, there's many, many, many amazing performers. But there's no performance like my performance, and I want to make it about not myself when I'm on stage. And I think that's what separates me from other artists. Other artists, it's me, me, me. It's my show. It's my thing. You're here to experience my experience, where I flip it on its head. You came to experience a show with me, so let's experience it together. Right. And that's what separates me from other artists. It makes me different.
Cool. So I just want to thank you again for coming out, and we're live in the living room. Would you mind leaving us with this short performance?
No, of course.
Yeah, I move like a phantom. Every word I get on purpose, it random. Ain't about the money, get it with no ransom. I find a way to turn my pain into an anthem. Cut my heart to understand that I'm ghost. Yeah, you do the most. Yeah, you're too close. Back it up a couple rows. Then I'm ghost, then I'm ghost. Yeah, you do the most. Yeah, you're too close. Back it up a couple rows. Then I'm ghost, then I'm gone without a trace. You feel that chill in your spine, yet there's no escape. Yeah, me and my know it's still your better days. But you don't got to worry, I won't haunt your place. Cause I'm feeling great, yeah, I'm feeling fine. No, I ain't spiritual, but I am divine. Oh, you think I'm weird, but it's in denying. I'm being another person, just to watch me shine. Yeah, I have you blind, like when you stare at the sun. Your world revolves around me, I'm the chosen one. And one thing's got something when you chose to run. I'm just barely getting started while you're close to done. No, you ain't there to bother me. This was what's caught in me, yeah, it's caught in my arteries. I just like to get caught in the yeah, I called it a robbery. Cause it's dead in my flow, being I stayed in my body. With every track, split in my body's probably. You're not getting the picture, and I'm not talking photography. I'm the hottest commodity, never wanted the diaries. Don't don't cut it in my studio, cause I cut in my armory. This genre is my property, I don't need to be possessive, but I own the apostrophe. And that people government, this is not a democracy. I won't ask for apologies, like the rock of hypocrisy. It is not about identity, then I'm ghost. Yeah, then I'm ghost. Yeah, then I'm ghost. Yeah, then I'm ghost. Then I'm ghost. Yeah, you do the most. Yeah, you're so close. Back it up a couple rows. Then I'm ghost, then I'm ghost. Yeah, you do the most. Yeah, you're so close. Back it up a couple rows. Then I'm ghost. I'm the type of creature that you can't explain. Every time I write, you can feel my pain. Us you can't compare. We are not the same, unless you listen to grace. Don't you say my name, I know I'm not there yet, but I will be. If you wanna stop me, you better kill me. The air is clean, the track is filthy. My L's don't slow me down, it is what has built me. They say I'm deep underground, that is why they're drilling. Whoa, yeah, now I'm at the surface. The way I connect my words, you think I'm rapping cursive. Whoa, yeah, why you acting nervous? At your weight is the only time I'm at your service. Yeah, you're just lacking purpose. If there's one thing I know, that I know for certain, that before the show's over and they close the curtains, I reach everything that is said is searching. Then I'm ghost. Yeah, you do the most. Yeah, you're so close. back it up a couple rows. Then I'm ghost, then I'm ghost, then I'm ghost. Yeah, you do the most. Yeah, you're too close. Back it up a couple rows. Then I'm ghost, then I'm. Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is Knowte Live in the Living Room with Reese the Director.
Shout out Reese the Director.
And shout out to Reese the Director.